She's an award-winning writer, a hunting guide, archery and rifle instructor, keynote speaker, and all-around outdoors woman who encourages you to get outside, hunt, fish, shoot, and savor all that life has to offer. And now, here's your host, Mia Anstine.
Hey guys, it's Mia Anstine here visiting with you again. Welcome to the Mac Outdoors podcast. If it's your first time here, thank you for coming to the show. And if you've been here before, I certainly do appreciate you. It means a lot to me that you have come back. Today I'm visiting with a newfound friend that I met also at the Girls with Guns Ruger Rendezvous. And this young lady is kind of new to the industry, but she is doing great things and she is sharing stuff with the next generation, and I want to share her with you. I hope you learn a lot. I do record these interviews, so if you want to watch those over on the YouTube channel, there will be a link in the profile. She does show some gear and whatnot as we visit. And also, if you have questions, reach out. The email address is contact@miaanstine.com, or you can find us on social media. Mac Outdoors is on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter.
This summer, whether you're at the range or in the field, WSI Sports' Hypertech bamboo tanks, tees, and leggings will have you covered. Visit WSISports.com and use Leah's affiliate code, LLCO10, for 10% off your purchase. All products are proudly made in the USA. WSI is bringing back pride in American-made clothing. Again, that code is LLCO10 for 10% off your order at WSISports.com. Well, good morning, Karren. Thank you for joining me today. I'm so excited to visit and learn some more about you. For my audience, I met Karren at the Girls with Guns Ruger Rendezvous, and she is a Girls with Guns. Is it an ambassador? What are you guys called?
I'm one of the top team members.
A team member. So Girls with Guns team member. And I'm excited, like I said, to learn more about you and just get some tips, and you're doing some great things. So I have like a list of questions and we'll just kind of see where that goes. But to get started, would you introduce yourself to my audience?
So like you said, my name is Karren, and so I've been hunting since I could walk and keep my mouth shut, as my dad says, which is actually kind of hard because I'm Italian, so I always talk. But hunting has been in my blood since forever. It's what defines me. If I didn't have hunting, I don't know who I would be. But I also am a camp manager and instructor for a kids outdoor sports camp, which is a camp here in Northern California where we teach kids about hunting and firearm safety. I'm a firearm instructor, and I love hunting and everything that goes with it.
Very cool. It's pretty exciting that your dad taught you how to hunt at a young age. I think that's kind of a blessing. I mean, I learned how to hunt at a young age, but I didn't get to start hunting until I was older. When did you actually like go through hunter ed and start hunting yourself?
Hunter ed was when I was 8, I believe. But I harvested my first, I think it was a muskrat. It was killing all the baby ducks at one of our family friends' like ponds up in Northern California. And my dad's like, all right, we've been practicing. Now you get to actually shoot something because it's just a little rodent. Like, just aim for that, like I've taught you. And so technically that was like probably 5 was my first harvest, but it was just a little muskrat.
Yep. And so I think that's a great place to start. If you were to help kids out, what do you think they should start out on?
It's not just kids for me, it's anybody that wants to get into hunting. If you go with, I'm getting my license right away and going from there, my first 2 things would be turkeys or pigs, because a lot of the people, at least around here in Northern California, they're like, but it's a baby deer. I can't do it. It's like, okay, let's go for something that doesn't look the prettiest, because that usually is a better way for people to get it down and be like, oh, okay, this isn't that bad. But for small kids, I would still go rodents first, like maybe squirrels. Girls sometimes are like, but it's a cute little fluffy squirrel. So go for the ugly little rodents.
An ugly little rodent. We have a lot of prairie dogs out here. Do you guys have prairie dogs out there also?
We have ground squirrels. So for instance, like the camp that I work at, we have a whole bunch of ground squirrels, and it's one of those things where we're hoping next year we can have the kids at camp harvest ground squirrels. So.
Very cool. And so, I mean, you've mentioned the camp a couple of times, the kids camp. Tell us a little about that. How did you get involved with it? Are you a creator or did you just come across it with work?
I attended it when I was 16 years old and I got my first pig there. So our camp used to be up in Red Bluff, which is about 3 hours north from me. Amazing camp, but what we decided to do is we wanted to reach more kids, or KOSC wanted to reach more kids. So we now have a location in Potter Valley, California, and then in Butte City, California. So that way we can reach more kids, get more kids into camping and hunting and all that stuff. And I had gone when I was 16. It was the last year I could have gone, forgot all about it, but never forgot the memories and everything. And then when I started on the Teen Girls with Guns, Jen O'Hara, who's the co-owner, which of course you also know from the Ruger event, she called me up one day and she's like, hey, I remember in your application for Girls with Guns, you had mentioned that you had gone to Kids Outdoor Sports Camp. I was like, yeah, that was when I was 16. It was a while back. Why? She's like, well, we have an opening and if you would like, it's in your area if you want to come check it out. So I did, and I was not expecting to fall in love like teaching kids hunting. Like I always loved telling people about hunting, like helping them out and stuff, but like the actual like having a kid there who has never shot a firearm, who's terrified, and just seeing them light up with excitement when they get it. Like, okay, that's why I can actually see the target now. Like I just watched the clay explode, like all that stuff. It's so rewarding. So that's kind of like
really cool.
That, which is, it ties in perfectly with everything that I want to do in life, which is just teach people hunting, but specifically kids now too.
Kids too. And do you have any kids of your own?
No, not yet. We're taking a little bit longer, I think.
Okay, very good. It's nice that you have the time and the opportunity to reach a lot of other kids. If you wanted to find that camp, if I had a youngster that I wanted to send to camp, is it kind of for locals or can anybody go, or how do they find it?
Anybody can go. We've had kids from Oregon, Nevada, and even Arkansas come out. And some of our instructors and cabin people have even come from like North Carolina, Georgia. So we get people from all over. But if you would like to learn more about the camp, there is a website called kidsoutdoorsportscamp.org, which you can go there and learn more, or my own Instagram, which is Karren_Vallauri. I have the link on there, and I do what's known as Range Tip Tuesdays.
Oh, cool.
We do a lot of things for both my channel and camps for like little reminders throughout the year when camp's on the off season.
Cool. And how do you come up with your tips? Is it just you have brainstorming or things you come across while you're out and about?
Just things in life. Just like the other day, it was like I was at camp getting ready for the summer and everything, and there was a tick crawling on the door. I'm like, okay, how do you take out a tick? Like, we're not going to twist it. We're going to pull straight out. And then, for instance, like in my family, we don't just kill it right away and just dispose of it. We don't kill it. We put it in a baggie with a wet paper towel, and we put it in the fridge until we can take it to a doctor. And that's only when it's been embedded in the skin, because then they can test it for Lyme disease.
Oh, cool.
So much quicker. So that way I'm not like sitting there like I feel sick, like, oh my God, what do I have? And finding out I have Lyme disease later on. So it's just an extra precautious way, because around here ticks are real bad.
Wow. Okay. That's a great tip. I actually didn't know that you could go and get them tested. Mm-hmm. Cool. I'm always looking for fun facts and things to share like that. So that's definitely a very cool advice, especially even if somebody's just a hiker or just likes to be outside.
Yeah, because it's like, it's one of those things where the other reason why not to twist it out is because you can break off the head and it'll stay in your skin, which that's usually what everybody roughly knows, but it's just safer to go and get it tested, because I've known a couple people that have gone hiking and gotten Lyme disease just because.
Yeah, it seems more and more common nowadays. I bump into people all the time that have Lyme disease, or a family member or somebody. Yeah. They talk about that. So that's great advice. Very cool. Hang on just a second. My dog is whining.
She's just feeling lonely, I guess.
I know I've been to close my door because my hound will be like, wait, I hear a noise.
Yeah. She's just standing here being needy. So super great tips about ticks. And is there anything like as far as gear or anything that people can use that you know of to prevent or to deter ticks?
I've tried, like I found this like little spray bottle. It's only about like yay big, but I haven't really noticed if it works well enough or not, because I'm really adamant about ticks because I've gotten them a whole lot growing up. So anytime I start to feel something crawling, I immediately stop what I'm doing and check. Like it's just like ingrained in me.
Crazy cool.
A small child having to help pick ticks off of your family members just leaves a memory, and don't ever want to do that. So I just always check it. That spray didn't seem to do a whole lot. It might have, but it might not have also.
Yeah.
So I'll test it out more this year because I just found it like last year.
Yeah. Those things I think are challenging to test because it's like, oh, okay, I didn't get any ticks. Does that mean there just weren't any out, or is the stuff working? Like,
yeah,
kind of.
And I really don't want to go and sit in the nest where all there's a whole bunch of ticks. I don't want to find out on purpose.
Yeah, we don't want to test that out.
Yeah.
So with the kids camp, it's a whole week that they're there.
Yeah. So the kids come Saturday about midday or Sunday midday, and they leave Friday midday. So the parents come and drop them off. We do a little speech, and then we get into our activities. So we have 3 different levels. There's beginner, which is when like it's for beginners. You don't have your hunter ed yet. We're going to do it here at camp. You're going to leave with your test already taken and done, which we've only had like a couple kids not pass, but it's still majority of like everybody passes. And then so we'll actually do hands-on, because for instance, like for me, when I did my hunter ed, I was the only girl besides my friend McKenna who went with her dad. It was just us 2, our dads, and a whole bunch of guys. That was it. And we were the 2 youngest, like, and you just sat there in the back of the room learning, and you're just sitting there. You don't actually hold anything. You don't do anything. You're just there to take the test and learn it. So with our camp, we wanted to change that and actually have all the hands-on basis with it. So you'll actually learn how to properly mount and hold, how to follow through a shotgun, like everything. We go over rifle, shotgun, archery, fishing, all of it. And then something we started last year was track a buck, which I didn't think anything of it. They're like, oh yeah, just like show the kids how to track a deer. And I'm like, okay, like what else do you want me to do with it? And they're like, go with it, do what you want. So I just kind of made a simulation of like, okay, we're going to pretend this is a hunt. We're all hunting with me. I'm going to like walk this trail. Why do you think I'm going to walk here instead of here? Oh, because the grass is going to be quieter than all the rocks like clinking and everything. I'm like, okay, good. And so just doing things like that. And then we found out that that was the easiest way for the kids to remember the topics in the class, was going out and doing it. So we really make it easier for them to learn the material.
That's so cool. So are you a hunter ed instructor yourself, or you're an assistant?
I have my test on Saturday. So
cool. Well, cool.
But, and then I do have my rifle, my shotgun, and my archery instructorship. So I do that also.
Yeah. And I remember you told me that when we were visiting in Arizona, that you do all those things, which is amazing and super cool. I love when people are like well-rounded, and especially you're sharing stuff with others. And I think that's just, it's priceless. And I wish more people would do the same. So kudos to you. And I'll just say congratulations now, because I know you'll pass your test and join the ranks.
Because it's one of those things where it's just like everything changes over the years. And it's like when you have a dad that's like super like, you must do it this way, because we don't leave wiggle room for like things to go wrong. So there's some questions where I'm like, technically you're not supposed to do that in my mind, but it's like in the actual book, yes, you can. It's just my dad, who is extra careful, taught me this way. So it's just
you can do it, but there's better ways.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, cool. And so you've been hunting since you were a youngster, and your muskrat was your very first animal. Since then, have you hunted only in California, or where all have you been?
Okay. I've gotten a mule deer in Southern California in my dad's hometown, which was really special. I've done moose in Idaho, which was the biggest one that season.
Cool.
And it's still in the top 10 in the past like 15 years. Last time I went to the wardens and was like, here's my tag number. I still want to know where I stand. My dad has gotten once in a lifetimes for mountain goat and 2 bighorn sheeps, which I got to participate on all 3 of those. Oh, where else have I gone?
Yeah, I was just going to ask you about that, because that's when I started hunting, I just tagged along with my dad. And my brother was actually usually the hunter. And that's something that I've noticed as a hunter ed instructor. So a tip for you in hunter ed is when I do my youth classes, the kids whose parents have taken them along, those kids pass like no problem. And like you said, you know these things, you know the rules, and that your dad taught you. But the kids who haven't been immersed in it, like a friend of mine, she was like, my daughter failed. She's like, how could she do that? It's common sense. And it's like, well, she didn't get to go with you guys. And so it wasn't common sense for her. And so it's something that I've always said with anything with youngsters, like if you want them to learn how to behave at a restaurant, you have to take them to a restaurant. So
Totally. And that's why it's like, it's one of those things where some people ask me like, how can you not remember something like to easily teach? Like, why are you having to think about it for a minute? I'm like, because this is my life. It's not a hobby. It's not something that I go out to do just because. It is my life. Like my office, all of this is hunting stuff. It is who I am. Like it is.
Yeah.
If I didn't have hunting, I have no clue what I would have done in life, how I would have turned out. None of it. Okay, what do I know that somebody else might not know? Is kind of like you have to sit there and think, and you have to think about the different level that they might be at where they don't know something yet. So, because yeah, like you said, it comes naturally, but for others that are starting it, it's a new world.
Definitely. And that's where that camp experience, I think that's so cool. So as an adult now, what would you suggest for like full grown women, adults that want to try to get out there and hunt? Have you come across anything that can help them?
Just learn. So one thing that I have done more recently is I have taken the time to learn myself about the biology aspect of it all. Because if you learn more about the critter, you can actually harvest the critter, not just safely, but more efficiently. And if you are a trophy hunter, you can figure out how to get those bigger guys easier. So like I have my bookshelf right here, and I have couple $1,000s in books just on the biology of like I have moose, antelope, elk, and then I'm buying a mule deer one soon, as soon as my paycheck comes in.
Yeah.
It's not just a, hey, here's a backpack to go use. I like it for this and this. Here's a rifle that I like to use for this and this. It's also a learn about the animal itself, because if you don't know how it works, it's going to be so much harder for you to go out in the field and hunt.
Yeah, that's a really good point. Learn the behavior of that animal so you can figure out how to track it, or even why we hunt it. I mean,
Exactly.
in those ecology books, there's a lot of information about that as well. So you mentioned gear, and you're a team Girls with Guns person. Yeah. So tell us a little bit. I have all my old school Girls with Guns from when I was sponsored by them and stuff like that. And they have a lot of great gear. It's held up over the years, which is why I still have it. But being on GWG, tell us about some of the things that you think are like essentials for hunting.
Well, coming as a female, having female gear, because a lot of my photos growing up, it's me in baggy clothes that I'm holding on by rope because they're too big for my waist because I was a small child. And just, I didn't feel comfortable. I didn't feel pretty. I didn't want to take nice photos because I'm sitting there and I'm like, I look awful. Like, I don't feel like I'm proud to show off the animal. Yeah, but I don't want to be in the photo now. So it sounds just like it's stupid of like, yes, like your clothing, it makes you feel pretty, but it's like, well, you're hunting, you don't need to feel pretty. It's like sometimes girls need that confidence to actually be in the photo, make them feel more proud of themselves getting it, not just like, yay, I got this beautiful harvest, but I want to show myself in it now. So not just like, hey, it looks nice on me, but it's actually works. Like I don't feel restricted. I don't feel like when I throw my gun up now, there's all this loose baggage of a shirt that now my trying to move around, it's all like stuck in the shirt now. It's all nicely fitted for you, like going up hills, squatting and stuff, like to get the pack back on your back after all that meat's on there is like, you don't feel like you're having to adjust your pants at all. Everything fits nicely. So I'd say for clothing, it's definitely pretty important for me just to feel like myself and move.
Definitely. I'm with you on that. And I can even remember back before there were so many women's options, I was wearing a men's raincoat, or it wasn't even a raincoat, but I remember it was loud like a raincoat and it was too big. And I'm hung up in the oak brush and we're turkey hunting. And the guys that we were hunting with, he's turning around, he's like, be quiet. And I'm like stuck in the oak brush. I was like, okay, I'll just stand here a while because the clothes were too big for me. So.
Yeah. And it's, you don't think that it's that important because it's just clothes, but it really does make a difference.
Yeah. And you talking about like taking the kids on that hunter and on the trail to go find the buck, track a buck. When you're just doing that and you're trying to be sneaky and, sneak around, if you've got all this extra material to worry about, it's just very challenging. So I definitely think you're on the right track there.
Yeah. I've told guys before and they're like, who cares with what you wear? It's like, actually I do, because it flows better. I don't have to worry about what I'm wearing. I can focus on the hunt and not have to worry about him. It's just like, it's too loud.
Yeah, for sure. So how long have you been with Girls with Guns?
Narissa texted me or Instagram chatted me the morning of heading into the second Nevada bighorn sheep hunt. So that was December of 2020.
Yeah, cool.
And I screamed bloody murder when she said,
you're like, yay.
I freaked out.
Well, that's cool. I think that it's really neat how excited you are about Girls with Guns, and you're just a great ambassador for them. I mean, everything you do, you live and breathe, and you're very loyal, and you know all their products in and out. I mean, even the lifestyle wear. I thought that was really cool that you knew so many things. Yeah, I noticed that when you logged on. You've got, is that your Christy Titus necklace? And then you have the concealed carry jacket.
So this is the concealed carry jacket. And then I have the new crossbreed holster that works for my normal handgun. And I got the words today. Holder, and then the range pants on today.
Very cool.
After this, I head to the range because we have junior trap today.
Oh, cool. I love all of them. When you were at Gunsite, so had you been there before?
Nope.
You hadn't been there before. Had you heard about it? Did you know what you were getting into?
I had heard about it, and I heard it was like this like high up thing, and it was like an honor to go. So when Jen had called me, I legit started crying. So I was like, wait, I actually get to go to this like renowned place. Like I hadn't like looked it up myself, but I had heard all these people talk about it, and I was just like, that would be cool if I could actually go there. That's never going to happen. And it did.
Very cool. So you guys, I think you all stayed together in like an Airbnb or something like that as a team. Do you guys do like team growth or team leadership or anything while you were there, or was it just focused on the rendezvous?
It was more of just like hangout time. Like Brooke, she had her birthday, so we had a little bit of a birthday thing. And then I wanted to do some content and everything because, well, I have my YouTube channel. I need content. So me and Jen Holcomb decided to head out and just go see everything. So we had gone to Granite Mountain, I think is what it was called. And we just kind of like hiked around, messed around, like, oh, let's go like walk this way. Let's go walk this way. And just kind of made some funny content and just hung out. So it was a lot of just like hang out, team bonding, just hang out time.
Awesome. Then what did you think of the Ruger plant tour? Had you been on a plant tour before, or was that kind of surprising to you?
That was very surprising for me. Like, also just like walking in and like the security, I was just like, I mean, this totally makes sense, but I just wasn't expecting that. I wasn't expecting a big tour and just how they have everything lined up and just the entire assembly line and the fact that everything is done in-house. It just was like mind-boggling for me.
Yeah, pretty impressive, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah.
Sure.
And then, so you shoot rifle, shotgun, archery. Are you pretty proficient with handgun? Do you teach handgun also?
I'm going to be getting my handgun in the next year or two. It's one of those things where I wanted, like, Jen, I help her out when she has her stuff up there if she needs me. Or with the Armed Women of America, they just started a chapter up in Reading, which is like 3 hours from me. But I told Karren Heist, who's part of Armed Women of America, like, hey, I'll be your RSO. Just call me up. I get to see you and get to help out. I feel like I could teach, but it's one of those things where I haven't grown up with it as much as I have with shotgun and rifle and archery. So I wanted to be ready myself before teaching.
Yeah. And I think that's commendable. I mean, know your abilities and capabilities. And then also when it's time, you'll know, but be confident that you do know a lot because you learned a lot just at that camp. And so talking about the camp, it was probably your first time shooting the Max 9. Mm-hmm. It was for me. What did you think of that handgun?
I like it more than my Smith & Wesson now, and I really wish I could have taken it home.
Yeah. So is that a gun you're not able to have in California?
Correct. Yeah, we're not able to have it here. So I'm probably going to get the LC 380, which is the only other option. But I know California was trying to have a turnover, but I really don't think it's going to happen anytime soon. So
what a bummer.
Yeah. California.
Gotta love it, I guess.
Yeah. Parts of it.
Yeah. And the training itself, what were some of the kind of highlights for you at the rendezvous?
I was not expecting to like the oh my goodness, the cross.
Like a crossbody draw out of concealed carry or the holsters?
In my mind a minute ago, crossbody like drawing, and it just totally decided to leave my brain. But that's what I wasn't expecting to feel natural about. Because I remember standing there and like Jen was on one side and Mei-Ling was walking behind, and they're both like, you need to keep working on this with the blue gun. Like, this works for you. And I was like, okay, it does feel more natural than doing this for me. So just realizing that was a lot more of a natural movement for me was very unexpected.
Yeah. And so that was from the jacket that you're wearing, drawing from that pocket.
And then come forward. Yeah. That just so much smoother for me than anything else. And I just was not expecting that.
Yeah. And it seems, I mean, like very practical, the jacket and the vest. I mean, I got the jacket like you have there also, but it's just very practical to be able to carry it there, because I know I usually appendix carry, and it's like I have to have just the right shirt and my, with a belt buckle, it's like, make sure the belt buckle's not popping out to make it look even more obvious and all of that. So that pocket was very cool. Had you drawn from a pocket like that before?
Nope.
No.
The only thing I've drawn from before Gunsite was a hip holster. And even then it was like, I knew I wasn't doing it correctly. It was more of just we're just going to go straight for it. Like, not the steps of how to actually do it.
Yeah. And so did you think that the steps made sense? I mean, like Eileen had said, ask why, or have your instructor be able to explain why. Did you think everything that they taught made sense to you?
Yeah, it made total sense to me. And like having the hand here, I was like, okay, like I've seen Jen and helped Jen. And I'm like, why is she always doing this? Like having your hand here. And so when doing this, it made sense to slide to here, just to do that. So just realizing all those little steps.
Yeah, just to be able to bring your hands together without potentially muzzle sweeping your offhand. So definitely. Do you think you would go to Gunsite again, or plan to, or wish to?
Planning to. My dad has one of his big birthdays coming up, so I want to take my little brother and my dad and my husband to go, because I think it would be a good little family trip. And then my mom can sit in a little hotel and sew like she always does.
That sounds like a pretty cool birthday trip to me. Had you been to Arizona before?
God, it's like when I was a child, like really small, like just a little quick drive through and we're done. So it was nice to actually be able to go and look around and everything.
Go hang out and check out Gunsite of all places. What's your impression of Gunsite now? Is obviously that you want to go back.
Amazing. Like, it's a lot of it was, I went with the aspect of, okay, I'm learning things, but what can I bring back for work? So for the kids camp, the fact that we have a flag that comes up and it shows us red, which means that the range is hot. That would be so much easier to somehow implement at the ranch that we have all the camps at. So that way we're not putting up the sandwich boards at every single spot. You can also see the flag from a distance that it's going, which means, okay, that range is hot. I'm not going to go that way. So just things like that, how they set everything up. It's just a lot of things were like, okay, I want to bring this back to work.
Yeah. And I think that's awesome that you were paying attention to those details while you were there. Were you also able to catch some pretty cool content for your YouTube channel?
Yes and no. I feel like I always had the camera going, but it was also mainly just during our class time. So it was just like, okay, well, maybe I did this more for me in the back of my mind, when I wish I would have gotten more like on the range. But then I was like, okay, I'm also here to learn this. I am somebody that needs to be here to learn this, because I'm still, in my mind, newer. So I was like, okay, I can only do so much, but I definitely wish we could go back as like the same group and just work on content, like have a group of just media people and a group of actual students, and then we do all the content for that. I think that would be a pretty cool idea.
Yeah, I actually agree with you. And I had Jen on the show a while back, and she and I had visited about that. I wish there was one more day so that we could have just done content, or if I had brought somebody with me to film and take pictures. So, because I was busy like focusing like, okay, reloading while they're shooting, and I could have been filming, and it was like, oh God.
Like just trying to leave the camera up, but then it's like you can't see everything. It's more just that like B-roll view of just seeing everybody, and it's like, okay, like that. I wish I had more. But like one of my first videos that I posted on my YouTube channel, after the video, I was like, okay, here's a disclaimer. Like, I'm not an instructor yet for pistol. I'm not a Gunsite instructor. I'm just showing you what I learned from my point of view. So I showed like how we did things, and I explained it in the little video and stuff. So that way it's like, okay, this is what I was doing in these videos.
That's cool. So if I wanted to go and kind of learn more, I could go watch your YouTube and get some tips from there. Awesome.
Yep.
What's your YouTube handle?
It's going to be Vallauri Huntress or Karren Vallauri. Either of those names will pop up.
Okay. I will put a link in the show notes for everybody for that so they can find it. I'm always looking for places to send people to look for tips. And are you doing hunting tips, shooting tips, all types of stuff?
Everything. So I'll do a lot of the range Tuesdays that I do for camp. I'll put that on my channel or my Instagram. I'll do like gear reviews like the Girls with Guns. I'm actually currently this next year, I'm doing like a how to hunt kind of a thing. Like, okay, I'm starting out. I want to do applications. Like, where do I even start on that? How do I do the mapping? How do I pick which pack to use? All the gear that I need. Like, yes, I have a lot of gear, but what is best for what? So kind of just a go through of like what I would need throughout this year, the whole entire process, not just we're going on this hunt, let's go.
Let's go. If somebody was getting started hunting and they didn't have a lot of money, what is the main thing you think they need as far as gear to get started?
Shoes. Shoes are number one. Packs you can go without, like you can do day packs, big packs, doesn't really matter. You can use your regular backpack. Growing up, I just had a camo little everyday school backpack, and that's what I used growing up. Until I could actually do this one right there. That pack I learned on, my brother learned on, my husband learned on, my dad used for many years. So that pack is very, very sentimental. But shoes are number one, because if you can't hike in with those shoes, you won't be able to hunt.
Yeah. Yeah. So talking about hunting, why don't you tell us about one of your most memorable hunts?
Oh, it'll probably have to be the Rocky Mountain hunt, ram hunt in Utah. That was mind-boggling. We call it the roller coaster ram because it was just a roller coaster of emotions. It was insane. So that was also my husband's first public land, out of state, once in a lifetime hunt. He's only ever hunted his family's property, which isn't that big here in Lake County, but it's just the only place he got to go. And so for him to see all this new stuff, he was just like, oh my God, there's so much more to this. Whereas for me, I'd been going with my dad since I was little. So I knew what to expect. I'm like, it's going to be different, like really different. So it was good for him to finally see what it takes for all of this. It was my dad's first once in a lifetime Rocky Mountain sheep hunt, or sheep. Sorry. Both those hunts came one after the other. So my brain is always like, wait, which one was which? We always go with our hunting partner, Kevin. It's one of my dad's good friends. They are like hunting partners. Like besides me being my dad's hunting partner, like adult wise, it's his hunting partner, best friend pretty much. So Kevin always goes on these with him, and we'll go on his and be like extra helping the mule. I'm always the mule that helps carry things. But it was a gorgeous area in Green River, which the unit was 9 Mile, I think it was. Gorgeous canyon. And when you're coming in, on one side with what the road actually is on is one unit, and then there's the river, and then the unit that we're actually hunting. So it was really hard because you only had 2 access points, either going across the river or going on the complete other side of the unit to be able to try and drive into part of it. So it was definitely new for me because I'm only used to like deer and moose and stuff. The sheer capacity of them being able to just hop from here to there so easily was insane. But there was a point where we were constantly looking. We found all these ones on not our unit side, and then we found a couple on the unit we were actually hunting, and we're just watching them. And there was this one where my dad's like, I want him. I think I'm going to go for it. So we get down, we get ready, and then he's like, no, I don't think so, because his curl was a full curl, but it was like a softball size, not like a volleyball for the inside curl. So he was like, I don't know. I just don't get the wow factor. Well, later on that night, he was kicking himself because he was like, well, I should have gone after it. And it's just like, okay, well, we'll look for him tomorrow. Couldn't find him. The next day after that, we did. He was on this weird ledge, and my dad's like, okay, you and Cody, you're going to go run down to the river, find us an access point of how to get up there once we cross the river. And then I hear a shot go off, and I was like, yay, Dad got it. And then I hear the F-bomb really, really loudly. And I'm like, that was Dad. That was his voice. What just happened? So we race back, and he's like doing this. And his hunting partner's like, just don't bring it up. Just don't bring it up. And I'm just like, I'm going to bring it up. What happened? He's like, a different dude shot it. I almost did it. I was getting down, but everything wasn't out yet. And bang. And yeah, so I was like, no. So we were super bummed. Me and Cody started heading back towards camp, like scouting other places, while Dad and Kevin rushed down like further. And then I get on the radio to be like, hey, like, I'm going to grab some food. Because we'll use radios for like emergency check-in of like, hey, if I'm not actually going to be where we agreed to meet, like or an emergency, like I need to go get food. I can't walk anymore. My knee hurts too much, like whatever. That's really all we use the radios for. So I was just like, I need food. So we stop. And then I hear my dad go, get to where I told you to now. And I'm like, okay, haul our butt down. Dad and Kevin are coming out with the raft across the river, and there is a monster ram. And it ended up being 8th in state's history.
Oh, wow.
Boone and Crockett. It was beautiful, beautiful ram. And I still remember I could not see my dad across the river, but you hear the shot, I see it go down, and I start screaming in excitement. And my dad's like, when he got back to us, he's like, I could hear you screaming from across the river. He's like, oh, excited.
A little excited for dad.
So, but it was gorgeous view from where he was up on top of. So I got this great like panorama view of the entire canyon. It was just gorgeous.
So cool.
Nightmare getting out of though, because I'm terrified of shale. Terrified. And of course there was a lot of shale on that. But
yeah. Shale can be pretty dangerous. So I understand that. Do you have any footage or film of that on your YouTube?
Yes. That is the one hunt that I actually have filmed. And then if you are a member of the Hunting Fool magazine, February of 2021, he was in that issue. So that was exciting.
Very cool. And so for you, I mean, that's an amazing hunt. And I think it probably makes it more amazing because of like the ups and downs of it. Like,
yeah, for sure.
Yeah, definitely. What is on your bucket list?
So after I shot my moose, well, actually, okay, little backstory. I used to hate moose. I just thought it was this thing like, okay, I love wolves. I want to harvest one, but I also just like them in general. But I still want them to be controlled and everything and hunted and all that. But my thing was wolves. My brother's was moose. Just for what animal do we like growing up? Well, after I shot my moose, just the switch turned and I'm like, nope, now my favorite thing is moose. Like I have a giant moose photo right here, another one in my living room. I have my hide and everything. But when that switch turned, it became like, I want to get all 4 species of moose before the day I die, along with a GEMS book. Because my dad got one when I was in kindergarten and I was just like, I want one.
Yeah.
So all 4 mooses and the GEMS book, those are my dream. Like before I die, I want all of that.
Super cool. So do you want to go to Africa for the GEMS book, or are you looking on United States?
I'd still try to do New Mexico. We still put in for it every year. But if it gets to the point where I'm like maybe 65, I'll go to Africa and just get one.
Sounds like a good plan. It's always important to have a plan.
Yeah.
So for my listeners, is there any other tips that you can think of for hunting or shooting that you think somebody might be interested, whether they're experienced or not? Like what kind of advice do you have for people that watch your work?
For if you're new and if you're terrified to go, just go. You'll fall in love with it. It's one of those things where I actually had a point in my life where I stopped because I was like, it's not popular. I'm a girl. People don't like this. And I stopped, and it was maybe a year and a half, and I regret it every single day of not starting sooner. I thought about doing YouTube earlier, and I was like, who would want to listen to me? So I didn't do it. So my best advice for somebody new is just go out and do it. For experienced, research is always key. You will never stop learning, no matter what. Like my dad still learns things. I still learn things. No matter how experienced you are, you will never be fully there. So just research. That's my number one thing.
Absolutely. Super cool. So for you obviously said you're doing Hunter Ed, you're headed to shotgun here shortly. What else do you have on your schedule? Like for the summer, do you have more of just the same?
My summer is completely booked for the kids camp. So I'm there the entire time, all 4 weeks and all the setup and takedown weeks. Hunting wise, I'm going to be doing our local A zone for deer. I'll be doing turkey in fall, which it's not my favorite, but it's something to get meat in the freezer. I'm hopefully going to Colorado for mule deer in November, hopefully still doing antelope in Wyoming in September, August-y area. It all depends on if I get tagged or not.
Yeah.
And local, California, I think we're going to do B or D zone. So that'll be like October-ish.
Super cool. How did you decide what unit you were going to apply for in Colorado?
Research always, but mainly just seeing how many points I've had racked up over the years, and then my dad's experiences in Colorado and what we've been hearing and all of the research that we've done, kind of narrowing it down to a couple different ones. And then, so like I said, without divulging exactly what unit, it's going to be near you.
Definitely. You mentioned putting meat in the freezer, and I saw something on your social media. You had something in a pot on a stove. Do you cook a lot?
Yeah, I like to cook. A lot of time lately, I have not had time to cook, but I do really enjoy it. I would definitely love to cook more than I actually get to. But one of the things I wanted with a lot of the family stuff going on, I wanted to make steak tartare, and it's my mother-in-law's mother's recipe. They don't do like hamburger like you see, because it's like that's been too processed in my mind. Like, it's not safe to do something super processed because you're cooking it raw. It's legit raw meat. You're cooking it with wine and vinegar, and that's it. So I have, by tonight I could probably taste test it, but I'm still gonna wait till I think probably tomorrow for lunch or dinner, actually have it to eat. So it just sits in the fridge. Did you want me to actually explain the recipe? Or?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. So you get like a sirloin and you cut it super, super thin, like as thin as you can get it. And then you layer it, put parsley on it, keep layering in parsley. And then on a stovetop, you do olive oil with onions until golden brown, garlic, like bay leaves, oregano, salt, pepper. And then you put red wine vinegar in, and then you put a little bit of butter, and then you put wine in, and you let that boil, and then you pour it over the top, and it just stays in the fridge for 2 to 3 days, and then you can eat it.
Wow.
So it's weird because it's not cooked meat, but it is so cooked. But
yeah. So we make a recipe in Mexican recipe is ceviche, which you cook fish with lime juice, and you're not cooking it. It's the vinegar and the lime juice that cooks it. So yeah, so I understand that. And I've had the steak tartare before, and I actually like it. Some people hate it. And I think it's the thought of the texture.
Yeah, but it's not that bad, which I was surprised because I haven't had that before. Like, me and my dad, we do a lot of different recipes. We'll make new recipes, but nothing was ever not cooked. So when mother-in-law brought this up, I was like, okay, I'll try it. It's meat, I'll try it, but okay, we'll try it. Fell in love with it. So
And what kind of meat are you using? Is it beef or you have game meat?
If this recipe, because I'm still new at it, so for this recipe, so if this works out, we're going to use some of the not the bighorn sheep, the Rocky Mountain goat with it, and see how that goes, because we still have a little bit left.
Cool. Is there any other favorite recipes that you have? Like your go-to?
Yes. My go-to growing up was this venison hot dish me and my dad, well, mainly me, created. I actually have it on the Girls with Guns website, but I can send you the link for that too.
Yeah.
I think I have it on my YouTube channel, maybe even too. I'm actually wanting to do a lot more of my recipes on my channel, so that way people have it. But other than that, it's just making stews, but I don't like dry stews. That's the thing. When it just is super dry meat, I like it when it falls apart. So I'll usually like make it almost like a pulled pork, but then turn it into soup. So
yeah, that sounds good. It's just making me hungry. Well, I do thank you for being on the show. I also wanted to ask you though, when you went to Gunsite and you met everybody and we got all the gear, like what are some of the most memorable moments or memorable items that you experienced at Gunsite?
I can't really pick out an item. It's more of just the sheer capacity of how much the companies wanted to make our experience amazing. Like the 3 different holsters that we used, all the clothing, the bags, the accessories, everything, just how much everybody wanted to participate was huge. And then just meeting everybody, like I felt so little, like I'm just like, I'm new in this world. Like it's like meeting you, meeting Christy and so many of the others that do 3-gun. And it was so humbling just to meet everybody and be like, okay, like we're all in the same world. Like we are all for the 2A and youth huntings when I talk to people. And I just enjoyed so much of it. Just everything. The only bad thing about it is that we didn't have enough time. That was the only bad thing about it.
Yeah. Yeah, that was, I think on the survey, that's the only thing I put down was that we needed more time. But yeah. I mean, if we added a day, we probably would have needed another day. I don't know. That's hard to say.
Just the entire experience was so much more than I would have thought. And I enjoyed every minute of it.
Super cool. Well, don't discount yourself and what you do because we all do different things, which is, I think, extraordinary because everything that everybody is doing is needed. So don't discount what you're doing because it's a very big thing and you're contributing a lot to the community and to the youngsters. So definitely keep doing that.
Thank you.
Well, as I said, I thank you for taking the time to come on the show. And I hope that I see you again somewhere at a show or another event, or who knows where. I'm sure I'll see you at future events because you are doing great things.
That more is go to events, meet more people because I love talking to people.
Yeah.
So I want to get out there in that world too more.
Definitely. We'll have to share some contacts and stuff like that so that you can hopefully show up as an instructor or an attendee or whatever. I'm like you. I'm always like, I'll go learn. So, well, thank you so much. And I hope you have a wonderful day and that you keep smiling because you have a wonderful smile.
Hey, this is Lloyd Bailey, the Armed Lutheran, host of the Armed Lutheran Radio podcast, reminding you that the podcast you're listening to is a proud member of the Self-Defense Radio Network. Check out all the great content at selfdefenseradio.net.